Hey, welcome to Crafty Music Tips. This is part one of a mini series where we go through all of the steps to create your own music video. Now, this is part one, so we're going to start off with your song.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So a bunch of the things I'm going to talk about in this video is songwriting, creating a song. And if you're thinking of recording a cover song and doing a video with that, well, that's great. A bunch of things that I'm going to talk about in this video is going to help you out as well. Now, if you're new to this channel, my name is Crafty. I'm a full-time musician, and over the past few years, I've created a bit of an annual tradition around Christmas time where I put together a music video with a Christmas song of some kind. Now, sometimes it's a bit of a cover parody type of thing. This year, though, I wrote my own song. Let's quickly check it out.
Don't know what your year was like. I don't care if you're naughty or nice, or if you hear the same words twice. I hope that you have a very legendary Christmas.
Alright, so if you want to listen to the full version, I'll leave a link below. Now, what we need to start with is an initial spark. What that means is if you're choosing a cover song or if you're writing an original song, you need a spark to start you off. Now, if you're choosing a cover, you've got to ask yourself, why am I choosing this particular song to cover? Is it going to be a good song for my vocal range? Is it going to be a good song for me emotionally? Is it going to connect with my audience? Is it a song that everybody else does? Is it a song that I can give some new life, a new version? And if it's an original song that you're creating, is the spark either music related, lyric related, or do you have a song title? Now, if you're struggling in any way with this spark, perhaps you're not really certain of what your theme is. Perhaps you're not really sure what the emotional energy is, whether that's the music or the lyrical emotion. Now, one thing I like to do is I like to just brainstorm, whether that's on a blank sheet of paper or on a notes app, and I just brainstorm words that have got to do with the subject. And if I'm not really sure about the subject, I just want to brainstorm anything that just comes out of my mind. You want to just get the juices flowing somehow. Another thing that I like to do is I like to reference other songs, whether they're favorite ones of mine or just reference what's going on the radio at the moment. And if I'm ever struggling with my musical direction, what I'll do is I'll just think to myself, all right, I'm just going to choose a genre and then I'm just going to see how I go. Now, I heard that George Harrison from the Beatles once say in an interview that John Lennon had given him some advice with songwriting. He said, look, if you ever come up with an idea, just whenever the juices are flowing in those initial stages, just try and finish the song.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Now, maybe you can't finish the whole entire thing, but if you can just get as much as you can done, it just makes it so much better in the long run, because it's better to be able to go back and fix stuff rather than just have big empty gaps in your song structure going, I don't know what to put there. Now, when I was coming up with my Christmas song, my initial spark was probably just the fact that I knew that I've created a bit of an annual tradition for myself, so it was on my mind, and then I think I was in the shower and I just came up with like a little bit of a catchy hook, which became the chorus. Now, if you yourself watching this have experience with creating something, you'll know that your inspiration doesn't necessarily come at the most useful opportune time. So I had to quickly dry myself off, get dressed, and then run to a guitar and then try and remember what was my lyrics and then how does it go. Now, I had to muck around with it for a little while. Here is the main parts of the chord progression that I ended up with. And here's the lyrics. Now, when I was writing the lyrics to this song, there were some times where I had to stop and start and really ask myself, what am I trying to write here? And so it's a really good tip for you if you ever find that you stumble a little bit yourself. Well, just be really clear. what am I writing about from section to section? So for instance, in the verses and the pre-choruses, I'm talking about, just the year as a whole, how the time is sort of slipping away. But then in the chorus, it's basically just like, whatever sort of year we've had, why don't we just enjoy Christmas? And so, when I was really clear about what each section was in a category, it was just so much easier churning out the lyrics. Now, a quick side note, I'm aware that not everybody wants to write a cheesy little Christmas ditty like what I did. Look, whatever it is that is your theme, your emotion, just be really clear and really stand tall and strong knowing that this is what I'm trying to express. Now, the last thing that I needed to make sure that I was really solid with was my song structure. Here it is. Here's how it ended up. Now, if you're not really sure about the differences between a verse, chorus, pre-chorus, things like that, I've made a few earlier videos on this music channel. I'll leave some links below. Okay, so you got yourself a song, you got some music, you got some lyrics. Is that it? Well, what I like to do is I like to go through a quick little checklist that I've concocted. So here's the first one. Music theory. Basically, that just means, does your song musically fit within one particular key? Or if there's a certain section where it doesn't stay in that same key, could that be a modulation where it's changed keys? Now, for me, the key of my Christmas song was in the key of E major. But I realized that the verse was actually in A major or E mixolydian. The second on the checklist is, does your song have a hummable melody? Now, the most monotone of melodies can still be catchy depending on the rhythm, right? But so for me, I tried to make sure that the notes kind of moved around a bit. This was my verse. And the chorus. Now, the third thing is, does your song have enough catchy hooks to hook the listener in? For me, I was trying to make sure that my chorus was catchy. Let's face it, a catchy chorus is always going to be a more memorable song than a non-catchy one. So I realized when I've written out my lyrics that I've got this same amount of syllables each time. Da, 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 da. And so I kept having that da, 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 3-syllable type of thing repeating. But also, if you look at my intro, what I did is I grabbed the end part of the chorus, which is just the word Christmas, and I just used those 2 notes, Christmas, and then had a descending chord line to be able to reuse and abuse those same 2 notes. So I'd go Christmas, then a different bass note, different bass note again, and one more. Also in my verse, guess what? It's going to do it again. And then that whole thing, I just repeat it. Then into my pre-chorus. Guess what? It's going to happen again. So have a think about it. In your song, is there something that you do that might be deemed catchy? And if there is, can you do it again? And perhaps, and again, possibly delivered in a few different ways. That way, the listener is receiving this stuff again and again and again without realizing they're hooked in there. They're wondering, why do I have this song in my head?
You're in my head like a catchy song.
Wow, it's just wow.
Now, the fourth thing I like to check is, how much call and response do you have? If you don't know what call and response is,
Everybody in the house, come on and let me hear you say ho, ho.
so if you haven't heard it before, musically it basically just means a sense of communication. Now, it could be a number of things. It could be when a singer sings something and then an instrument repeats it. Or it could be that a drummer is just laying down a beat and then they realize that there's a bit of a break in with the vocals or an instrument. And then so they might do a little drum fill in between. Whatever it is, something's putting the call out and then something else is responding to that. Now, there's a heap of examples of call and response in my Christmas song. I dare you, have a listen to it, click the link below and see if you can figure out what are all of the elements of call and response that you can notice. Now, last on this checklist is there's two types of breaths that I'm going to be concerned with. One is as a vocalist. Do I have enough time in between each phrase to take a breath?
Relax and take a breath, yo.
Now, the other type of breath would be like a musical breath or a break. Just a chance to just have a breather from the onslaught of noise. Now, the time in the Christmas song that I made sure there was a bit of a break was at the end of the first chorus.
I hope that you have a very legendary Christmas.
Then let's carry on with the song in the second verse.
I can't believe that it's nearly the time for a holiday.
Now, a couple of quick little extra bonus tips. Always try out an idea, especially if you're co-writing with somebody else. Make sure if they have an idea, just try it out. Don't say no before you've actually had a chance to just try it.
It's no good.
And that goes especially for yourself. If you're writing something, either musically or lyrically, and you're telling no to yourself, if you do that too many times to yourself, it becomes a habit. You just get used to not having your ideas get out of you. And I gotta say, for me, it's a lot easier having something to fix on paper rather than just staring at a blank section going, what do I put in here? Which brings me to my next tip, which is don't be afraid to throw out some ideas or rework them. Look, I don't know why some people think that every single thing that comes out of them has to be the world's best or absolute gold straight away. It's fine to rework stuff. And look, sometimes just slaving away, writing something, creating something can just get a little bit too much sometimes. So just take a break.
No, don't leave. We're taking a break. Oh, yeah? Yeah.
Whether that's for 5 minutes or whether it's come back to it tomorrow, taking breaks can be the best medicine.
Every time we say goodbye, I die a little.
Okay, so there you have it. There were a bunch of songwriting tips there. I hope they were really helpful for you. Now, just before I go, look, if songwriting is something that's pretty important to you and you feel like you don't really know exactly how you're going as a songwriter, well, I've got something for you. It's a free gift. It's called Actually, How Good Are You? It's an ebook download, which I'll leave the link for below, which basically helps you go through all of the steps to figure out, well, how am I going right now with that skill and how can I get to where it is that I want to go. Now, the handy thing is it doesn't matter what age you are, it doesn't matter how experienced you are. What this ebook does is it gives you all of the steps to be able to figure out everything yourself. So I hope that's helpful for you. Now, the next video in this series will be on song arranging. So I'll see you in that video. Until then, my name is Crafty. Peace out, stay rockin' and take care. I'll see you really soon.